Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. It is the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, we're going to talk to RoShelle Salinas about the upcoming AutoBoative show, formerly the Houston Auto Show. Plus, Jeff has a segment on Cuban cars. No, not cigars, but cars.
Yep.
That may include cigars, but
yeah,
we're focused
the cars
on the
may
cars.
be smoking too.
Yeah, that's it. And later, Conrad's Car Clinic and automotive news headlines this week on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with David Ainsley, filling in for Mike Mars this week. King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on our live broadcast here on this Saturday morning from the Houston, Texas area. And joining us now from, I assume, the Houston, Texas area, RoShelle Salinas with the Houston AutoBoative Show. Good morning.
Good morning.
All
How are
right.
you guys?
Well, we're doing great, thanks. And looks like you are too. I haven't talked to you in a while. How have you been?
I've been good. Yeah, we're trucking along, trying to plan this great event.
Well, and that's what we're going to talk about. And if you can't divulge anything, or can you divulge everything now, or
Yeah.
no? You still got stuff in the works.
I still have things pending, but I got stuff to share for sure.
Well, why don't you go ahead and spill the beans first, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so, we're really excited to be partnering again with the boat show. This is our third year to make the AutoBoative show. And, we get hits and misses and wins from both sides of the party on if this is a great combination or not. But when it comes down to it, we're both in a situation where inventories have been in a different place than ever before. And we have a huge space to fill of, 700,000 square feet at NRG Center, and where we both were able to fill those at that time, at times ago, we can't anymore. And so the reality is having these two events together has been spectacular. And they're like-minded in the sense of you need a truck to tow your boat or a quality SUV. And so you can shop in both ends of the event, though you can buy a boat at the boat show side and you can pick out your vehicle on the auto show side. It's really become a spectacular combination to have the two events in one.
Well, I have to tell you, I don't know of a car person that doesn't like to look at a boat. They might not want to ride in one or buy one, but
exactly,
it's a bonus to me if I go to the car show, and now I got the boat show there too.
And a boat person needs a truck to haul it.
Do you still have the fishing tank in the boat show?
Oh yeah.
So they will have the bass tub that has the expert fisherman that is teaching people the proper way to cast and unhook your line from the dredges of underneath the lake.
Yeah.
So we will have the bass tub there this year, along with tons of other vendors and the boat show exhibitors. I know that they'll have all the great brands, from the pontoon boats to your fishing boats to the ultra luxury boats like the world's biggest bay boat that was debuted at the Florida boat show, the Fort Lauderdale boat show. It will actually be here for the first time in Texas.
That's bay, B-A-Y, not B-A-E.
Yeah, bay. That's good. I like it. There's something wrong with that, but whatever the case may be. I'll tell you, I do like those, to see how the other side lives in those great, big, huge cabin cruisers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hello, James. Do you mind bringing up the boat?
Yeah.
And
Don used to love watching Below Deck.
And the champagne. You can't go without the champagne.
That's right. Bring me some champagne if you don't
So
mind.
if the two vessels pull up, do they ask for the Grey Poupon?
Oh yes, absolutely. We passed that right off the dock. I will tell you that we're looking forward also on mainly the car show, since we are car show kind of guys.
Yeah.
I have to ask you right out of the box: is Stellantis going to be there with the Jeep and Ram ride and drives?
Okay, so this is the bad news before the good news, right? Stellantis, the brand, the display itself, the static display, will not be on site. So Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram will not have the vehicles on site where they typically have their product specialists talking about all of the vehicles. weirdly enough, in the way that corporate world works, we're still waiting to hear if we're going to have any of the off-road experiences of Camp Jeep or the Ram Track.
Oh, boy.
I was hoping to have news for you today, but we got news yesterday. It's like, still pending, which has been our life the last 3 months, is that we'll hear news tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes.
Well,
So
I will tell. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just not sure yet.
Okay. Well, that's okay. Thank you for being honest with us. I kind of was in fear of the fact that Stellantis wouldn't, because they were not in Chicago and they were not in L.A.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the repercussions of the strike, and it's extremely unfortunate when, the everyday consumer walking around the world might not realize what the strike really
impacted
tolls onto not just the employees, but the ancillary activities that take place with these brands. And this is one of those impacts. So we're waiting to see what, other news will drop. But it's still going to be a phenomenal show. We've got all the other brands represented. Chevy's coming back with a great display. Ford, Toyota, Honda. Hyundai is coming back as the OEM instead of the dealer. We've got Mazda, the Post Oak Motors with the luxury brands from here in Houston. And then we just sat down with the new Ionos dealer here in Houston, and they're working on bringing a new display as well for the Grenadier. And if you haven't seen one of those yet, that is a really the baby bred together of the Land Rover and the G-Wagon, and it is a really cool car. So we'll have them there too.
Is Lucid going to be there?
Lucid, Tesla, any of those Rivian direct sale vehicles will not be on site.
Gotcha.
No, they
not following the Texas franchise laws.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. There was another.
Are the dealers going to put together a Chrysler display?
All of that's in the works. We're going to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
The local
Hopefully
guys.
we can pull something together.
Because those big displays take up a lot of footage inside.
They do.
Well, and a lot of manpower as well.
Yeah. Well, I assume that you're going to have the outdoor ride and drives.
Yes, we still have Ford and Subaru participating for ride and drives outside. We may be moving those indoors back to the old way where we used to have the indoor track where you drove out of the building so that no matter the weather, you could still participate in a ride and drive. Those are some of the plans that are all up in the air with, waiting this pending news. And then Evolve Houston is coming back as well with their educational display, incorporating their partners from U of H and Shell Energy and their EV ride and drive. So I don't have a vehicle list yet of what vehicles you'll be able to test drive, but I know we'll have a variety of EVs that people will be able to take out on street drives too.
Boy, this is a scramble for you because this is getting close and you still have all of this stuff that you're pending, which means you're still moving stuff around on the floor to make space for stuff to happen.
Or fill space.
Or fill space, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, you guys have been talking to me for the past 10 years. I usually have this stuff wrapped over before Thanksgiving, and it's just logistical planning. Right now, we're still putting the puzzle together. So it's been a little bit strenuous, but we're confident we're going to put on a great event like we have in years past.
We always do, yeah.
Bring everybody in.
Yeah. I was going to comment about the fact that, Stellantis not being there. I got news this week that Jim Morrison is no longer the head of the Jeep brand. He's been moved over to Jeep. I guess they're starting some sort of a new deal where they're going to market kind of an aftermarket thing for Jeep, mainly Wrangler. And he's been in charge or going to be put in charge of that.
Well, I heard that news as well, and we were sad because he was a huge advocate for the Houston Auto Show.
Yeah.
He's the one that got us our multiple reveals at the preview night parties as well. So, he's been a good partner to us. But I'm sure in his new position, he'll find a way to interact again. And I've heard great things about the person coming in to take his position.
Well, that's good. Speaking of that sort of thing, are you going to have the preview party?
That's another one that's we're trying to come together.
I got you. Oh my gosh, this is going to be.
Don puts you on the spot, doesn't he?
Well, you could just come to Don's.
Just
come over to Don's house. Invite everybody over to Don's.
Yeah, we'll have the preview party over here.
Finger sandwiches.
Yeah, finger sandwiches. Well, with that news, Gosh, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, you've deflated that balloon, Don.
Yeah, popped that one, didn't we? Well,
look, we know that that's a big tradition, and so it's something I'm hoping we can pull together. And you guys, I'm always authentic and candid with you. It's just, do we really want to put on a great preview night gala like we've had before, or do we want to change it up to be something different? Maybe a more of a networking, happy hour, come and go, get your first look of the auto show as a VIP experience, and just maybe transforming that event to something more palatable in these times, and making sure we set the expectations right, because the last thing we want to do is have people come in and feel disappointed. We want to make sure that we're providing and setting the expectations accurately and providing them a really great experience.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, let's go back. I think it was the first one. It was basically a cocktail party that was upstairs in one of the rooms up there. And then you had a chance to go down and stroll through the car show if that's what you wanted to do. But it was kind of a little get-together. There was certainly nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. Not at all. Everyone had a great time.
Yeah. And so what's wrong with scaling back and having one of those kind of things? Because I thoroughly enjoyed myself, to be honest with you. And what it did was it brought everybody together in one room. Hey, how's it going? Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Whereas the big cocktail party and the preview and everybody roaming around, you didn't really get that opportunity. So maybe there's a.
So are there going to be any reveals this year at Houston?
I think we're going to have some Texas debuts for sure. I was really hoping for one from Ram, but now I think we may have something from Kia coming, and talking to a couple other brands. So we'll see what surprises we have in our next interview for you on that front too.
Kimberly Schultz has been a good friend of mine and the show for 20 years, I guess, and she is, I assume, still with Stellantis. At least that's where I get the press agreements from. And have you spoken to her at all?
I have. We've been texting all this week, back and forth to see if she has any intel.
Yeah, exactly. And it's an interesting time. There's no doubt about it. And I know that the strike has changed a lot of things. Yep. And there's also a lot of stuff going on in the EV market, and from what I've read, it's not all good news. There's a lot of constraints going on in many levels and in different sources and people and places and things and components, battery technology, that sort of stuff. That Ford has decided to put on hold this billion-dollar plant number 2 to make batteries, and sales aren't all of that with all the EVs that are sitting on lots right now. And let's face the fact that times are tough. Grocery prices have increased dramatically, and it's tight economy. But I know for a fact that here in Houston, car sales are still doing well.
Yeah, we are, thankfully. We were just talking about this the other day. I had an interview with the Houston Chronicle about a month ago, and things are stabilizing a bit as the rush that we've kind of had is a big increase. But sales really are taking place, and even in the EVs, it's very slow, but they are selling. And I think that building on that awareness and the education, and that's exactly what the auto show is for, is having people come and learn about what you want your purchase to be and make sure you're having an educated buy when you're going to spend that amount of money. Because you're right, the economy is tough right now, and that's why we set the price of the auto show at $15 for the moment. So if you buy early, you'll get your tickets for $15. If you get them at the door, they're $20. But still, you're coming in to invest in deciding on what vehicle to buy in the future and how much money you want to spend later on.
So where can people go buy them early?
Yeah, at HoustonAutoShow.com or AutoBoative.show.com. Either website has our ticket link on it, and you can get tickets right now for $15.
When is the show?
Very small fee. We're no Ticketmaster.
when is the show? RoShelle, when is the show?
Sorry, you broke up.
Sorry.
You broke up a little bit. January 24th through the 28th, so the last week of January.
Oh.
Okay. Very good. Okay, so what other kind of bombshells are you going to drop on us this morning?
No, I'm just, we've got to, I've got to be optimistic, and the boat show side of things is absolutely packed. I know they've got a lot of great things coming in. They're going to have about 200 different vendors of all of the accessories and all of that as well. We will have an RV exhibit too. So it's a full diverse show of all kinds of, indoor, outdoor activities and all the fun taking place. And I'm really just pressing forward. This is just one brand not coming, so I'm not going to let that get us down. We have so much else going on, and it's going to still be a great event.
Well, and you always do such a good job, and considering the last few years with all of the curveballs you've been having to deal with between COVID and all of the financial issues caused by the strike and stuff, you've done a good job and always put on a good show.
Thank you. Thanks. I did want to provide you guys with one update. You had the technician students on about a month ago.
Yes.
That participated in the Houston Auto Dealers competition. Those students went to Fort Worth to Texas Motor Speedway, and they competed in Fort Worth last week, and they got 14th place out of 44 teams.
Wow. Very good.
And the alternate player actually won first place when they did individual testing, and he received $2,500 worth of Snap-on tools as a prize. So we're so proud of those students, and I'm excited for them. And that whole competition is funded because of what we do with our work at the auto show, and that the auto show funds the Houston Auto Dealer Association. So just wanted to tie those together and point out the success of those high school students, and I'm just really proud that we're able to put on, that secondary event with what we're able to do at the auto show.
That's awesome. We're proud of them too, and what a great bunch of.
Yeah, they were fun to talk to.
Yeah, we need more of that. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
Are you going to have the guys out in front in the lobby this year?
The display
of older antique cars and stuff like that.
Unique.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll still have a great classic section. Ben Miller has put together a good quality selection of, I think, about 50 vehicles this year, so we'll have them. We also have produced a new magazine this year that'll be at the show called The Buyer's Guide, and it has a full listing of all of today's latest and greatest models for people to take notes and shop and compare. So pick one of those up when you come on site. And we'll still have the food trucks and that kind of activity going on during the event too.
Good deal.
John just wants to make sure he can get a dome dog when he's there.
A dome dog. That's
Where is your exotic Christmas vacation this year?
That's right.
Oh, I'm still heading to Mexico as usual.
All right.
Well, that's always a good thing. Let me ask you this: when you're down there, are you going to buy some new tap shoes?
Where will I be tapping to?
Well, tapping with the media. Doing the tap dance with the media. No, I mean, she knows. I mean, it is a tap dance, and because all of the television stations will be having her on, and
we see her.
usually in the studio, and she'll be put on the spot, kind of like what I'm doing to her right now.
Yeah.
This is practice.
I think what in the end result is we're going to need Stellantis to be aware of how much the consumer missed them there. So maybe I'll have to come up with some communication method for Stellantis to be aware of what everyone else is saying.
I got a great idea.
Hashtag where are you at HOUTX.
I think that what we need to do is we need to get Kimberly to go with you on these television interviews. Let her.
Corporate will approve that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that would be awkward, I'm sure. And
sort of like this.
sort of like this. Anyway, I joke, of course, but
not at all.
At any rate, it's always great to talk to you and to see you, and we hope that you have a very Merry Christmas down in Mexico.
Thank you.
And good luck with the show. And if you have any updates, call us, we'll get you on, or send us a note, however you want to do it.
Yep.
And we're looking forward to any of the latest and greatest news that you've got.
And when you figure out a strategy to have communication with Stellantis from the consumer, let us know. We'll be glad to share that on our stuff as well.
For sure. We'll keep you guys updated.
We love you, thank you, and we'll see you in January.
You
and
bet.
I assume that we're still going to be doing our remote broadcast from out there.
Absolutely. We are going to make it happen.
We could take Stellantis' spot.
Forget that 10,000 square foot display. We'll take the whole thing.
We'll bring Wally with us.
We love you. Thank you.
Same, guys. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Too.
Boy, what a struggle that's
Yeah,
got to be.
she's
that
got it
gotta
tough this year.
Juggle all of these
Man.
things that
Yeah.
are still pending, and what? It's a month and a half away.
Really, a month, because in a month from now,
They'll be setting up.
Yeah, it's going to be, you're looking at 3 weeks, right after Christmas, probably.
yep. So, boy, I'm glad I'm not her.
Yeah.
I posted my hashtag, where are you at, Houston, Texas. Now we got to figure out how to drop that on Stellantis.
All right. Let us move ahead, shall we?
Shall we?
Jeff has a feature that I always look forward to Jeff's features, because he decides what they're going to be.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to do with that. So this week it's going to be Cuban cars. We probably should rename that Cuban Cars and Cigars.
You could name it whatever you want.
Okay, thank
But
you.
here we go.
All right.
One of the first things you notice as you enter Havana is the colorful vintage cars that line the streets. The classic car is much of Cuban icon, as Don says, as cigars. But why does Cuba have so many old cars? Cuba has never had a car manufacturing industry, so they relied solely on automotive imports to populate the island's roads. During the Cuban-Spanish War, Conrad, the first ever import to Cuba
Don was there.
was a La Parisienne from a little-known French manufacturer in 1898.
Oh, wow.
1919, Cuba was the largest Latin American importer of U.S. cars and parts, and was among the countries with the highest number of vehicles per capita in the world. The classic Model T was the ubiquitous on Cuban streets, fondly referred to as a Fantingo, which means, Conrad, clunker or jalopy. Even now, the Cuban cars that you see on the road, they still call them Fantingos. During the first half of the 20th century, Cuba was used as a test track for many of the American car manufacturers, meaning that the cars were often available in Cuba before being sold in the United States.
I did not know that.
Yes. Ford, Chevrolet, Cadillac, and Chrysler shipped their cars down to the Miami ports, or the closest one down there, and then they would arrive in Havana a few days later. So by 1956, there were 140,000 cars in Cuba, and 90,000 of those were on the streets. 1959 was the beginning of the Cold War, so Fidel Castro put an embargo on the U.S. and foreign imports. So no more parts, no more cars. Cuban owners had to make a choice to either let their cars rust in the garage or use what parts they had readily available, which was often seen today. Cuban locals were forced to make repairs and restorations using what, David? Russian and Chinese vehicles, primarily the plethora of Ladas, Volgas, and Greeley's were still readily available. Now, you put ointment on a Greeley, it'll go away. You can see the range of patched-up cars on display through the country, often painted in vivid colors and to hide the panel work and all the bondo and things like that. So in 2016, Fidel Castro's brother, Raul, kind of relaxed a little bit of the permissions to come into Cuba, which really weren't that great. Still regulated. For instance, if a car cost $29,000 here in the U.S., it was more like $260,000 in Cuba.
Holy
so
Toledo.
there were sort of restrictions on that
Sort
as
of.
well.
Whew.
So many of the cars happily drive around. They take tours. You can actually rent one and take a tour. They encourage you to do that, to either rent one or have one as like a taxi, because you can go through all the tobacco growing regions of Pinar del Rio, the world famous Bolivar Royal Corona cigar, which David knows about. So there's a lot of vintage cars in Cuba. Today there's still embargoes. The cars are still cool down there. And if you're watching it on video, there's a lot of neat stuff going on down there.
Do they have the Swisher Sweet Tour?
No Swisher Sweet Tour. Nothing
No, but
like
you
that.
can drive a 57 Chevy powered by a Volga 4-cylinder turbo diesel.
Yeah, but not a Greeley, because you put ointment on a Greeley. So we're just going to let this roll here, and I've got one special coming up that I think is on here that Mike and I talked about, and there it is. There's the man right there.
There's the beauty.
Is that Mars?
That's Mars in
Wait,
Cuba.
that's Mars in there.
2018, Mr. Mars was in Cuba.
Well, what was he dealing over there?
Cars, parts.
Really? I mean, I did not know. Did I know?
Yeah, I remember him going.
Yeah.
To Cuba.
'Cause
Who
when I
paid
was-
for that trip? He didn't.
NADA.
Really?
No, I have no idea. But when we talked, I sent Mike some information. He goes, I've got a picture. I said, let's do it.
He went on the Jerry Garcia tour. He's trucking.
So thank you, Michael. I appreciate your help in that. We love you, buddy.
Oh my God, that's classic.
So
literally,
you can still find the old 40s, 50s, 30s, all that down there.
A few years ago,
find any new ones.
went to San Francisco and did a microbus love bus tour.
Oh yeah,
and so the guy had an old Volkswagen hippie bus from back in the day.
That's normal in San Francisco.
And took you through, Haight-Ashbury, all the sites, and it was very good, actually. And it was really kind of cool to be in the old hippie bus. And what a great idea. Can you get tickets to go? I guess you can get tickets to go to Havana.
You have to go through the State Department, and you cannot go there just to go.
It's not as open as it used to be.
You have to have a purpose, a reason. There has to be something of benefit to do that. To be down there, and then you can't overstay because you'll be in jail and all that stuff. Not like here, but you have to go through the State Department and get approvals and all that. You got to have your passports and all that, shots and all that good stuff.
Think of how much money Cuba would make on the tourism industry. Why don't they open it?
Well, they did that little bit that they were open when Mars went.
Yeah.
That was a real boon to Cuba.
It has been relaxed a little bit, but so far as the car industry down there, those cars will still be there in another 50 years.
Like not letting us go down there. It's like, what's the purpose now? Back in the day, the Cold War and all that stuff, I got it. But you can go to communist countries. It's not like it's against the law.
Yeah. Well, you can go to China and
also
Russia and all that stuff. Just behave yourself.
Well, that's a given,
Conrad.
Which is why I don't go, because I don't know how to behave myself. Clearly,
for sure.
What?
The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for it, In-Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts at your fingertips on all of your favorite podcast suppliers. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupi Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Lupi Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupi Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is now part of the iHeart family. Now you'll have access to 24/7 Car Talk anytime you need a fix. Just download the iHeart Radio app and ask for In-Wheel Time Car Talk, and there we are. Be sure to save us in your iHeart library for instant access. No matter where you are, you have the best Car Talk Show right on your PC, laptop, or mobile device and never have to worry about finding us again. Of course, you can always get access to our video and audio streams via InWheelTime.com and your favorite podcast channel, and all of this is free to you. From the iHeart Radio app, you'll not only hear our Saturday morning live show, but the best shows of the past, updated weekly. Never miss a minute of up-to-date new car reviews, pre-owned reviews, Conrad's Car Clinic, informative interviews, automotive news, and the most fun car talk show on the planet. Just download the iHeartRadio app, search for In Wheel Time Car Talk, save it to your library, and with a tap of the icon, you'll be in touch with your favorite Car Talk team. In Wheel Time Car Talk, streaming now on iHeart.com/In Wheel Time Car Talk. That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts.